The cats are fed, my contacts are out, and I'm home alone. Welcome to another edition of Spite Incorporated with your host, Nace Flaw. Um, I'm sorry, I'm just exhausted today. Today is a Friday, and I just got home from work, and I'm a little apprehensive about next week, because next week I actually begin what should be my normal shift. I have been training for a few weeks now, and they got me on the phones, which is probably why I'm exhausted. It's been over a year and a half since I've been on I've done customer service work, and yeah, customers are fun, especially this job. It's more sales reps and internal employees than actual customers, um, and you know, when you're in different departments, you expect certain things. You know that your department can do, particular turnaround times, and I guess you expect everybody to be the same. And you also expect everybody to, actually no, you know that your department is very specified, and there's a ton of stuff that people think you do that you have to push off other people to do, and yet when you call out to others, you expect them to be the be-all, know-all. I don't get it. But my actual shift will be like 10 to 6:30, and so I'm hoping that the evenings are quiet, and I'll actually be able to work on other stuff, just like the mornings, because I've been coming in at like 7 o'clock in the morning, and no, the phones aren't even on yet. So plus it's countrywide, it's a nationwide company, so like nobody's calling from California. They're still in bed. But I'm working for another yellow page company. I went from one to the other, and you would think that they would be dead. A lot of people make a lot of jokes about them, me included, especially since I work for them. I have a pile of them on top of my fridge. Everybody has a pile of them. In fact, we did a training session my first week where the company described what they do, what kind of recycling programs they have, and how they have opt-out programs for residents, of course. And one of the employees even said, "Wow, I wish I knew that. I have a huge pile of these in my kitchen that I would love to get rid of," which I found incredibly rude. I mean, you didn't have to say anything. It was a presenter talking to a crowd. You didn't have to respond whatsoever, and you went out of your way to insult the company that you just started working for. But I digress. I realize that these companies are, they seem antiquated, and so they're struggling to find a place in the online world, which makes perfect sense. Some of these companies have been around for over 100 years, doing print ads and listings, etc. And now with the digital world, they're going into not only digital listings but online video. There's a whole range of product placement ads that you can do both on their site and also on anyone in the Microsoft network, ad network. Search engine marketing, search engine optimization. These things are huge. They're costly, and there's not a whole lot of profit because they're just in and of themselves. They're so costly that you can't really charge the customer a lot of overhead because they just won't go for it. And then there's websites, and that's the part of it that I really don't get personally. As a web designer, as somebody that tinkers for myself at this point, but I used to do freelance, and I used to do in-house corporate web design. Knowing a little bit about web design and transfers and the nitty-gritty of domains, I don't get why none of these companies seem to get it. Although I have an idea. I think the issue is nobody wants to go full GoDaddy. They don't want to be as a service provider. They all have their limitations. They really want to give you a basic website, and they are very upfront with, we're just giving you a basic website. So they're trying to go into the digital world, but at the same time they're trying to admittedly give the lowest common denominator of digital products. Why? Why? Customers don't want that. I think it might be because who they're pandering is the people that don't have the time for it. It's very much for small business. Plumbers, lawyers, a lot of lawn care specialists get these kinds of websites. Exterminators, I've had the most issues with. I've dealt a lot with lawyers and they're actually rather nice when it comes to their websites. They really just want their name out there for the most part because they realize they're all the same. They realize it. They're smart guys. That's why they're lawyers, and they just want their name out there and the easiest way for you to find them. You know, that's it. They also know that they can't say anything too outrageous or else they'll be sued. Very simple. But when you're pandering to small business, that means you're aiming for a demographic that is unstable, who's you have to question their stability. They are not well versed in keeping up with their image. You know, they're very inconsistent with having a website and having a particular image and particular logo, and they're not sticklers for quality. Although every once in a while you find that one person that just sells stationery or something that's kind of ubiquitous, and they are sticklers for detail, and they're at the same time they're paying for the cheapest product. It's always the people that buy the cheapest product that want to try to milk the most out of it. Just buy a better product. Simple as that. If you want higher quality, pay more. That's a staple of capitalism, I think. Not always, but sometimes store brand food is just as good as the pricey stuff. But I don't know. When you're talking about marketing, generally, the more it costs, the better the quality, or the better features that come with it. And that's very true for these websites that come from yellow page companies. And I don't know. How do you fix it? Do you try to be GoDaddy? I don't see why they can't be. I think their main problem is most of these guys don't do things in-house. They don't want a server farm. They don't want. I don't know if they think it's a particular expense, or they think it's too risky. You know, because GoDaddy hasn't been around since the dawn of the internet. Like Two Cows is still around. Network Solutions. These are all companies that are pretty much staples of the internet. They're the ones that host most of the websites you see. And if they don't host them, they have most of your emails or most of your domain names registered to them. And like GoDaddy, you go in there and they sell everything in such a piecemeal kind of way, and they're known for their customer service. They have some limitations too, and some people really hate them for those limitations, but they want to try to limit particular bandwidths and bandwidth hogs. They don't want scammers messing with their stuff either, because then it gives them a bad name. Because it has given them a bad name. It's too late. You know, with some individuals, they're just known for being a poor company, but their customer service and their help, online help, is terrific. So I don't get the bad rap per se, but they do a lot of piecemeal things. They do a lot of services that you can You can do a la carte, and I think that's the way the digital marketing should go. Um, if the options are available, go that way, but you have to bring it in-house. I think that's the big key. If you partner up with two cows, if you partner up with AT&T, you partner up with Enom. These are guys that you can do resellers, and GoDaddy you can be a reseller too. Um, but you are limited by what they offer. Uh, and I guess these digital marketing companies just keep partnering up with poor choices. But of course, then they sign contracts and they're stuck with them for a year or two. You know, it's just like the customer being registered to a particular company. You know, no different. So you got to stick with, like, you sign up with AT&T and you find out, oh my God, they have all these glitches and it's just terrible. Well, what are you going to do? That's month one. You have 23 to go. You know, so what you need is to really invest in just bringing everything in-house. Hire the people to do it. It's not that hard. Most of it is already designed yourself. Or partner up with GoDaddy. You know, one or the other. But right now, as it stands, they sell these poor products. And the next big thing, what they're moving toward, is letting customers design it themselves. Now, this is what they used to do in the 90s. That's what they all did in the 90s. They just let you do it. We don't want to handle it because we don't want to pay for designers. And then they realized that if you let people design their own websites, it turns out crappy 99% of the time. You get the blink tag, you get sparkles, you get bad links, and sometimes offensive content. So then it became a game of, we're going to give you it's like they became the Facebook level, where we're going to give you very specific templates that you pick, and you pick one or two colors, and you tell us a little bit about your company and your hours and phone number, and bam, we'll produce it. And now it's going back to we're entrusting it to you, the customer. Why? Because somebody looked at the internet and said, you know what, we need more crap. And then, of course, you probably have to enforce everything. You have to enforce the graphics. If the customer is using it, they're going to steal. I steal when I design my websites. It's just, that's what the internet is there for, stealing for the common man. But then you have these big companies, they can't do it. They have much stricter policies. And if they do steal, you better hide it well enough. So I seriously doubt anyone's going to be like the QA of this and say, you can't use that image. We'll see. Because they just want money. They don't want to piss off the customer. Simple as that. Who does? Again, the joys of capitalism. So what comes after that? Well, it's probably a cycle. I mean, we haven't had digital marketing long enough to really know what the cycles are. But this seems to be one of them, where you give the customer everything they want, and then it goes to very strict very, very strict design. And then you go back to the customer design, and it goes on and on. Will it ever end? Probably not. Digital marketing is here to stay until we all transcend into energy beings that no longer need the internet and hold our ethereal hands together and sing, I don't know, John Lennon tracks. But until then, we have the yellow pages to deal with, and with me on their customer support. Yippee. Is this ranting enough? I mean, I would kind of hope to be informative. I don't know, we're at almost 15 minutes. Let me mention something. Books. I'm in the middle of Bram Stoker's Dracula, and I'm like 44% in, and I'm kind of in a lull. I'm really bored of it. And I mean, I think maybe it's Is it because I know he's a vampire? I mean, they don't really hide the fact that he's a monster of some sort, and then weird shit goes down. But the whole time, like, I'm trying to picture what it was like when this was first published, and people didn't know the name Dracula yet. And I just think the first, like, 14% of the book is amazing. It's really creepy. It's the defining text of a genre. If it didn't create the Gothic genre, it sure as shit helped design it. Mold it and crystallize it into what it's known as today. And then it goes into it talks about a girl who slowly, gets her blood drains, nobody knows what's going on, and blah blah blah, and it just a third of the book is this boring ass chick writing about her wedding and feeling sick and not feeling sick, and poorly described blood transfusions that you just know would kill the girl, and eventually, off she goes, and that's where I'm at now. I know the rest of the plot, but that's where I am, where they're mourning her dead body, and somewhere out there there's a monster terrorizing the streets of England, the streets of the entire country. Yeah, go ahead, make a joke, dare ya. I told you I'm tired, and it seems boring, and I guess I'm waiting for it to pick up, or is it just that it's an old book and it doesn't get more exciting? Frankenstein I loved. Frankenstein was a great book, and they all, 9 times out of 10, they mutilate it. They make it the dumb, like, grrr, brainless zombie kind of thing, or what's that Mary Shelley bullshit with the Julia Roberts, anything with Julia Roberts. Like, how do you make Frankenstein into like a weird love story or romanticize it? It's a very simple story. And Dracula, I mean, maybe I'm looking at it the wrong way. I looked it up on Wikipedia, and it said that it's an entire story about invasion. It's an invasion story, and I never really thought of Dracula as that. I thought it was, it's a monster tale. But this is, if somebody wrote it in America today, they would say that it's an analogy for immigration reform. That's basically what Bram Stoker was doing with this. Okay, is that scary? Is the scary man from Transylvania gonna drink my blood? Like, am I supposed to look at immigrants like that now? I don't know. Do Cubans go away with garlic and crosses? I don't think so. Don't think so at all. I don't know. I'm not going to try it. I like Cubans. I like everyone from Central and South America and the Bahamas and all that fun stuff. Although people in Hispaniola are a little pushy when it comes to the panhandling. Just saying. A little pushy. I understand why. But still. Eh. And notice that I use percentages. 14%, 44%. Books aren't books anymore. There are no pages anymore. When I was editing D'Angelo's third book, it was all about percentages. I'm telling them, yeah, I'm at 37% this morning. I plan to be 42% done by tomorrow. That's what the digitalizing or digitizing, however you want it, cybering, of mass market books. That's how it's going. We're all going to be doing percentages because we don't know book numbers. Because if we have different texts, different text sizes, or we're reading it on our cell phones instead of our Kindles, our pages are going to be different. Right now, my wife is preparing to go back to school next month, and she's a little off-put by the fact that there are classrooms that don't have textbooks. So what's probably going to happen is they're going to have like PDFs and stuff, or slideshows, or maybe it's all going to be EPUBs and Mobi files. She doesn't know. What I'm pretty sure will happen, though, is she's going to go in there and there's going to be a lot of people's laptops, a lot more than when she graduated in 2004 and I graduated in 2005. That'll be a little weird. That'll be a journey. But I think that's enough today. I think that's enough ranting. I don't think I was very informative unless you really wanted to know what the issues with Yellow Page marketing, digital marketing, is in 2013. If you did, I hope you enjoyed. Please give me your comments. We'll have lively discussions, I'm sure. Oh boy. You can get a hold of me on Twitter at @acoincidence, or of course go to black-ring.net to find a slew of ways of contacting me, or leave comments, emails, etc., etc., and find links to our good friend like Michael D'Angelo and his new book, The Enemy Within, the third book of the Child of the Stars trilogy. Available on Amazon currently, and soon bookstores everywhere, I'm sure. Okay, y'all have a good weekend. Peace.